I didn't think it was more than 10.
9 years ago, episode 74.
Oh, was that the first? Was that the first episode 74? Was the first time we did we do it every week after that, or was that a one-off? I can't remember now.
No, we done it. That was when we, that's when we done it every week after that.
Okay, wow. We had a massive format change, as it were. Gosh, yeah, nice.
And we done quite a few in the back garden here.
We did. Do you remember when we used to have summers? Do you remember those days?
Gosh. Yeah.
Then we progressed into the kitchen. Yeah, we're in the kitchen for quite a while.
And we'll gloss over the barn era and move on.
Yes, that was a small interlude.
Yes, a blip in the Matrix.
To the next thing.
Yeah. Little small blip in the Matrix on that one.
Yeah.
Weird when you look back now. God,
because we literally age as you move forward.
You look very young, don't you?
Yeah.
There's one here. Where Nev done, and Nev looks like a teenager.
Oh, rude.
But no one's saying that now, are they? That's the thing.
Well, you look even younger now, Nev. Just
Yeah,
wait until you die.
the great thing is, Nev, is you can now buy your own red wine. It's very exciting.
Yes. Oh dear. Yes. There we are.
Right.
Did you have any sunshine over in your neck of the woods this week? We've had some here.
It was nice Sunday.
Today.
We didn't have sun today, did we?
Yeah, this afternoon I got that go. Lovely.
Did we? Oh, I must have slept through that. Oh, hello.
Mondo's doing some furniture changes.
Yes. Absolutely. Is he setting... Oh, he's definitely doing something. Goodness only knows.
My word, I'll just look back at the 100th that we broadcast from the Vulcan at Norwich. Aviation.
To me, that was still a really special, like... to me, that was a really... There we go. They can all see what he's doing now, look.
How we managed to set that up.
It was the first time we did it with a 4G modem, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the first time.
Yeah, that was good. That was good fun. That was.
That was.
Has Armando decreased in size?
I think so. Yes. Yes. It's a terrible disaster.
He's shrunk.
No, he's moved.
Oh.
He's moved location, dear.
He looks like the pictures on the wall are like 4 times his size.
Yeah, no, he's just relocated. That's all. Right. Okay. Bum bum bum. Carlos looks seething. Oh, I see what he did there.
Oh yes, Richard. Well done, Richard. Yes, he's correct. That is the seething.
Have I got that? No. What's he? Oh, come on, brain. No. It's another Richard, isn't there? Never mind. I've forgotten.
I don't know. Anyway, some more great pictures this week, Mr. Flag on the social media. Really, really nice.
I'm loving the drone shots.
I do like the drone shots that Richard does, where you can still, even though it's overgrown, you can still see where stuff used to be back in World War II.
Yeah.
This is weird. I'm looking at myself to my left here. If I move the camera around, look.
Okay. Yeah. Latency's not too bad, because that was then about to move you. Usually, if you put your hand in front of the camera and take it away again, it'll do the same thing, by the way, Carlos.
All right, I'll remember that next time.
Yes, Dirk, you're right. There were some nice pictures taken by Mr. Warner. I think he was over at Bryce Norton, wasn't he? I seem to remember. And yes, some nice, very good pictures of some military aircraft. And there was a 757 there as well.
There was, yeah, I saw that.
From New Zealand, isn't it? Yeah, New Zealand Air Force, yeah. If only BA had kept their 7.4s and their 7.5s, they wouldn't be having all this problem that they've got at the moment.
Yeah.
With lack of aircraft and lack of serviceability. But I know that's not the right answer, but, you know.
They're even having problems with the bloody 380 as well, aren't they?
Well, the 380s
Don't say that. I'm going on one.
have been problematic for a while since the storage in Madrid, back during the COVID period.
Don't worry, Matt. They're talking about the military 380s.
Oh, that's right then. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Thanks for that, Armando. That was in no way scary. Never mind. 2.5 minutes. I suppose I better load the clock in, hadn't I? Otherwise, we'll have next week's. Oh, come on. Add 527. Oh, come on.
Temperatures are rising in here.
Good. Have you not? Did you not have it on your timer so you can get it to come on?
Yeah, I switched it on with the Alexa thing about an hour before I came in here.
Oh, right. Okay.
It takes a little while to build.
Are you using the NAS drive, Matt? Are you using the NAS drive for the pictures?
Yeah. Either or, whichever works best for you.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna drop in some quick pictures for the roundup.
Oh, right. Okay. I'll try and load them ASAP.
I'm putting them into the NAS drive. So.
Okay. That is the easiest for me to access.
Figured.
I don't have to. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I always tend to dump everything in the NAS drive.
Richard E Flag is excited to see you, Armando.
Well, I love following his Facebook profile because it always makes me miss the UK for one of many reasons. But
yes.
Any
recent events? Sort of. No, gloss over that. Okay.
let's just say we've been as a family.
Looking at one's options.
What are the easiest countries to emigrate to?
Lovely. Okay. Surely we'd welcome you with open arms here. Surely. Yeah, that's right. Canada's quite nice, I hear.
Well, somewhere between the Handmaid's Tale and The Last of Us.
So somewhere in a ballpark figure there, yeah.
Yeah, we were like, well, we could move to Maine or New Hampshire, at least as close to Canada, because
in case it all kicks off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go then. Good luck, everyone.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 527 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I am Carlos, and in this week's jam-packed show, we have a fire in Sydney, new seats for Qantas, a quieter sonic boom, and regional news about Stansted and Norwich, because it wouldn't be PTUK without a mention of London Norwich. In the military segment this week, we have some sexy Brazilian Saabs and a super stealth tanker. Joining joining me this week, a whole bevy of hosts are here, and from the PTUK Master Suite studio, our melodious maestro himself, the one and only Matt Smith.
What on earth is a melodious maestro?
I think it means you can sing.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Fair enough. How did he find that out?
I don't know. Nick does such a good job of doing
No, he does. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, indeed. Yes. Hello. How are you?
Oh, good. Yeah, good. Yeah, feeling good today, which is nice.
Lovely. Good. Love that.
And
love that for you. Love that.
Yes, I know. It's been a very busy day at work. It's supposed to get quieter this end of the year, but
you haven't had to earn your keep this week, have you?
I've actually had to do some work. It's terrible things.
Lovely. Everybody write that down. It's a momentous week, everyone.
Yeah, managed to have my hour for dinner though. To be fair, which was
Did you?
Nice.
You should always make time for dinner.
I know, I should make time for dinner.
Yes,
but no, it's been a busy week and busy times. But looking forward to the upcoming festive season that's just around the corner.
I beg your pardon.
I know.
You are.
First time you'll ever hear me say that.
What? Hang on. Why? What are you doing? Are you like?
It's because of the boys. That's the only reason.
Oh, okay.
To Christmas
oh, you've already bought them presents, haven't you?
I brought them. I brought them stockings to hang on the fireplace. With initials.
Oh, I love
With the
that.
Initials.
I mean, I'm delighted that we finally found a route into you having some minor excitement over the festive period. So we'll take that. We'll definitely take that. You heard it here first, everyone. God, blimey.
Whatever next.
I know.
Next thing you know, I'll be liking Easter. Anyway, and
cats can't have chocolate, just so.
I know, they can't. Nor can dogs.
Yeah.
And he's back, freshly flexing his sexy new whip. Our gentleman of the skies, it's Neville Bands.
Beg your pardon?
Sometimes there are no words, and this is one of those occasions. We'll gloss over that rapidly. I'm back.
What was that W word again? Sorry.
No.
Okay, right.
I think it's an American term for a vehicular.
Yes. That's right.
Okay.
Yes, that's it.
Sorry, Nev, I interrupt. I apologise.
No, that's all right. Yeah, I was away last week at, we like an acronym in our industry, and I was at the LTSMG event, which for those people that don't know what that is, it's the Learning and Teaching Spaces Managers Group, and that means AV managers that are in universities. And they like a drink, those boys.
Right.
So I was delighted to go up to Loughborough University for a couple of days and join them for their event. We were sponsoring it as well, so that was great. And picked up a bit of a cold there as well, I think. So just getting over the worst of it now. But no, all good, and great to be back on the show this evening.
So, Nev, you've been? I take it you've not been doing any flying for a little while now.
No flying for a couple of weeks yet. I'm doing a bit of a dash to Edinburgh for a few days in a couple of weeks' time, and then straight to Dublin, or actually via Heathrow to Dublin. And actually, in fact, I'm going to go and see our chum, our listener Alan White, over in Dublin. I'm going to take him his prize, the microphone, if you remember the Rode microphone that he won. So I'm going to see him for a cup of coffee and a chat. He will have some news for us at some point, and I'll let him tell the story, hopefully in a video or something at some point when he can. But he's got some extremely exciting news. Look out for that, because it's exciting. Simple as that.
Excellent.
So it'd be great to see Alan again in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, no flying. When was the last time I flew? It was probably about 3 weeks ago, I think it was. Another Edinburgh trip, but I'll be flying the week after next.
Yeah, I did notice the share price had gone down a BA now last few weeks.
Well, everything's gone down at BA at the moment in terms of serviceable aircraft. My goodness.
More on that later.
That's a bit of a show, and I've missed out a word there.
Have you?
A show?
Okay, right.
Oh, I was going to say, you missed
Yeah.
something out there.
Something along the shower. Let's go with shower. Shower. Why not? Yeah.
Yes.
A shower show. Yeah.
Finally, like a great Las Vegas comeback tour, here to talk biplanes, biz jets, shooting at aeroplanes, and all that grey stuff. We're delighted to have him back for one night only. It's Armando.
Well, hello, teams. I had to Google what eating a hat is.
Right.
When Andy said that last year. That's not a thing here in the US. So I was like,
right, yeah.
What? He's eating a hat?
Yeah.
And also follow up from last week's show. I have an AirTag on Benny, my dog.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I still don't quite understand how those work. I guess you're relying on other iPhones being near it in order to get a track on it, essentially.
No, that's it. Yeah. That's pretty much it. It's just going to connect to somebody else's phone. But if my dog runs away, which my dog Benny can jump actually like a 6-foot fence.
Wow.
Gosh. Yeah. Sometimes he gets out and I can ping him right away and figure out where he is in the neighborhood on his own little walkabout.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just checking out the land. That's all. Yeah.
He never goes very far. I think he just gets scared. So.
Blimey. That's a good idea, though. Though, to be fair, that is a very good idea.
Do you know what? For the first time in his life ever, Carlos is now contemplating said AirTags for the boys for that moment when they go outside. Look, for the first time.
It's not very big. Look, it just goes right on their collars. That's a little AirTag, waterproof.
Do you have to have an eye thing for it to use them?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes, you need an eye thing.
Yeah, and I think, lovely. That's what they're called now. Steve Jobs would be so pleased, wouldn't he?
Carlos is what we call a late adopter.
A late adopter.
Equally, my new car's got Alexa interface on it, so I don't even know what that is. So I've gaffer tape over that.
Have you? Right. Okay. It's all right. Yes, my one in the studio. I'm glad you didn't say anything like studio off or anything. It's like my one just woke up here in the studio. That was nearly.
It did here. I thought, oh
no, shush. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, nobody say that. Yeah,
yeah. Not like before. We don't need another rerun of what happened.
That was quite funny. Yeah,
that was not funny at all.
Very funny. Anyway, yes.
Thank you, Tanya. Good to see you. That in there. I've just read that in the chat.
No.
Tanya's got taste. That's all I can say. Anyway, right, we've got lots to get through in the show this week. We've got a retro airline ad of the week this week, which is we're going back to a nice standard normal presentation advert this week for retro airline ad.
Carlos.
Yes,
Mr. Jester, the legend that is, has said there are now Android tags available.
Oh, right. That's going straight in my basket.
Okay, very good. Yeah,
right.
You see, the clever person will be the one that makes one that's compatible with both devices, and then you've got lots of traceability.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll stop.
Or I just don't let them out ever.
Right. I think that's also likely to happen. that's
very,
on the cards.
Very likely to happen at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway, yes, so we've got that, and also Nev, you've got a special special segment coming up on the show tonight as well, haven't you, Nev?
Yes. Do you remember our friend Grant, who works in my industry? 44 years he went without flying. He's now back for a part 2 of that interview that we did, and there's no stopping the fella now. So it's a good listen and watch. So we'll do that a bit later on in the show.
Excellent. Right, we've got loads to get through then, and we're going to start off tonight's show, as we always do each week, with our rundown of the commercial news stories of the past week. So, if all the team's ready?
Indeed.
Ready? Turn on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
And kicking off this week's first story, it's from the bbc.co.uk, and push to improve air travel for disabled passengers. Paralympic champion Baroness Tanni Gray-Thompson is to lead a new group of experts tasked with improving air travel for disabled passengers. The Aviation Accessibility Task and Finish group, announced by the government, will work to make flying accessible for all, from booking to baggage claim. For too long, disabled passengers haven't had the standard of assistance and service they need, said Transport Secretary Louise Haigh. In September, BBC security correspondent Frank Gardner, who uses a wheelchair, had to crawl along the floor of a Polish Airlines LOT plane to reach a toilet. LOT, which flies out of Heathrow, said it was not policy to have onboard aisle chairs, while British Airways, EasyJet and other airlines carry them as standard. In August, Baroness Gray Thompson was forced to crawl off a train, arriving at London's King Cross after waiting in vain for assistance for 20 minutes. LNER said it was later investigating what had happened and was sorry to understand there had been an issue at that station. The new group, which will also include Sophie Morgan, co-founder of global disability campaign Body Rights on Flights, will meet for the first time later this month, and it will recommend proposed actions to the Transport Secretary next year following a 9-month review. The task force will engage directly with individuals who have had first-hand experience of flying with a disability, ensuring the group can act as a platform to advocate for disabled passengers and that the consumer voices are the heart of the progress, the Department of Transport has said. So issues under consideration may include being left on board aircraft without timely assistance, poorly handled wheelchairs, inadequate service, lack of access to toilet facilities, and limited access to clear information. The group will have industry representation from Jet2, Virgin Atlantic, Ryanair, BA, and Travel Association ABTA, as well as London Stansted, East Midlands, Manchester, and Glasgow airports. It will agree a short and long-term practical achievable actions that could be implemented by the industry, the regulator, or the government, and the Department for Transport have said that they are looking forward to working with disabled people, industry experts, and the Department for Transport to improve access to flying, said Baroness Gray Thompson. It's essential that the rights of each passenger are protected at every aspect of their journey so they can travel with the respect they deserve. Miss Morgan, this is an important milestone, she said, in an ongoing fight for rights on flights. Far too long disabled people have suffered when flying, and enough is enough. She said the group would be holding the airports and airlines to account. With the creation of the new group, experts, government has set a powerful message to the community and airline industry that change is in the air, she added. Yes, I mean, it's not very often I've seen people, boarding aircraft on wheelchairs. I think they tend to go on before everyone else gets on the aircraft.
Yes, usually.
Wheelchair access. So you tend not to see them sort of boarding. Plus, they tend to use those vehicles, don't they, for access to
and they're usually the last off as well. Certainly the experience I've had with Mum, where we've participated in the special assistance, we're first on and last off. But in some respects, that's actually quite liberating almost, because you don't have to worry about, because the plane basically won't go without you unless something catastrophic happens, essentially. And knowing that you've got to wait for them to come and take you out, you just sort of like chill out while all the chaos is going on around you.
I was going to say, while I'm on the flight deck.
While Carlos is on the flight deck. It's and that's one of the reasons why you don't normally see it, because it's sort of happens like before and after, if you see what I mean.
I think here in the US, it's pretty, it's not as hidden, right? So it's just basically before Group 1. Although Delta, I just noticed, Delta changed their boarding processes, where it's now Group 1 first class goes on, and then anybody who needs extra assistance boards after them. I think we may have talked about that on the show, which is kind of interesting. But here it's, and especially some of the destinations where you have a lot of retirees, like Arizona, Florida, it's really significant. Sometimes you'll have 6, 7, 8 wheelchairs even. So it's interesting to kind of see the conga line go down the jetway, and they get them loaded. But this actually also, maybe at the end of the show, we're going to talk about what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. But I went down to Cabo San Lucas, flew the Hawker down, came back commercial. And it was interesting because I hadn't been anywhere that used aircraft stands in a while, like you guys do in a lot of Eastern European countries. So they had aircraft stands, but me and the people that were boarding behind me, we didn't see any facilities for disabled passengers to join, which is kind of interesting. I'm sure they have them, but it's I actually kind of felt bad because they're, especially down there in Cabo, that didn't look like there was a lot of facilities for disabled passengers.
I was going to ask, Armando, how do you cope with the smaller aircraft, like the aircraft that you fly in these situations?
So two types. the Pilatus actually stands out because Pilatus has that big cargo door. There's actually a mod. It's not even an STC because it's not a permanent modification to the aircraft, but it bolts down to the seat rails, and it's actually a mechanism that you can operate with just a handheld, 28-volt power drill, and it swings out of the door and lowers down where you can load a wheelchair, and then it brings it up. You can swing it into the door, and then the passenger can slide from their wheelchair over to what would be seat 6. So the Pilatus is kind of unique because it's well suited for that. The rest of the airplanes, we have just a small door or a small wheelchair that the passenger would have to transfer from their wheelchair or their vehicle onto this tiny wheelchair that kind of goes up to the stairs. It takes 2 people, one in the front, one in the back, similar to, I think, it's one of the things that some of the airlines use. And then ours is just a little bit smaller because our aisle is smaller. Our doors are smaller and our aisles are smaller in the private jets. But we can do it. We have the mech with the wheelchairs to do it.
Nice.
Very nice. Now, Nev, you've got the next story, and we are going fairly quick with this story.
Well, we are. And also, I think someone snuck in a bit of a military story here in the commercial aviation section, but I'll let it go just this once. It's on the aviationist.com, and it says that NASA's Quest, which is Quiet Supersonic Technology mission, recently achieved a key milestone as it began testing the engine that will power the X-59, which is an experimental supersonic aircraft developed by Skunk Works for NASA's low-boom flight demonstrator project. The first engine tests, which were carried out on October the 30th at Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works facility in Palmdale, allowed the X-59 team to validate that all aircraft systems work together under the power of the one-of-a-kind aircraft's engine, as opposed to previous tests that relied on external power sources. These engine tests are a crucial step towards preparing the X-59 for its maiden flight. Well, according to NASA, the testing is being done in stages, with the first phase involving low-speed engine rotation without ignition to check for leaks and ensure that all systems are communicating properly. After verifying these systems, the team fueled the aircraft and began low-power engine tests to ensure smooth operation without issues or leaks. Jay Brandon, who's NASA's X-59 chief engineer, explained, the first phase of engine testing was a warm-up to confirm everything looked good before running the engine. We then conducted the initial engine start, which took the engine out of preservation mode since its installation, and then this first start was an opportunity to ensure that the engine and related systems like hydraulics, electrical and environmental controls were all working as expected. New low boom technology that works by using an elongated fuselage that more or less mutes the sonic boom should make the X-59 able to fly at 1.4 times the speed of sound, or 925 miles per hour, at 55,000 feet, generating a quieter sonic boom than the undesirable and potentially damaging traditional loud sonic booms that are prohibited for commercial flights during overland flight. For 50 years, the US and other nations have prohibited such flights because of the disturbance caused by loud, startling sonic booms on the communities below. The X-59 is an experimental aircraft, 99.7 feet long and 29.5 feet wide, flown by a single pilot, designed to generate a quieter sonic boom, which should be within acceptable noise levels to help the FAA to lift the ban on commercial supersonic travel over land, which was imposed in 1973. According to NASA, the sonic boom generated by the new aircraft will be less than 75 perceived dB on the ground, about a third less than Concorde, which was reported around 100 to 110 dB. New low boom technology using extended fuselage to soften the sonic boom aims to produce a gentler sonic thump rather than the loud booms that led to bans on supersonic flights over land. Powered by a modified F414 GE100 engine with 22,000 pounds of thrust, the X-59 is expected to reach Mach 1.4 or 925 miles an hour at 55,000 feet. The engine's usual placement on top of the aircraft helps reduce noise. The pilot will fly the aircraft using a unique cockpit design without a conventional forward-facing window. Instead, a central 4K monitor acts as the window, giving the pilot a clear view of surrounding air traffic and offering visual guidance for approaches, landings and takeoffs. This monitor, a key component of the aircraft's external visibility system, XVS, shows stitched together images from two external cameras combined with terrain data from an advanced computer system. Whilst the cockpit includes real windows on the sides and a traditional canopy to help the pilot maintain a view of the horizon, displays below the XVS screen provide essential information on aircraft systems and trajectory to ensure safe flight. And testing is taking place over in Palmdale at the moment. In later phases, the team will test the engine at higher power levels with quick throttle changes and replicate real flight conditions. Pretty high tech, isn't that? Yeah, and trying to outfox physics as well by the looks and sounds of things. Yeah.
Well, you guys talked about the XB1 seventh flight from Boom Supersonic. If you look at the two aircraft, they're almost identical.
Yeah.
They whatever technology NASA, NASA and Boom, they both seem to be going down the same lines with the same engine configuration, same aircraft configuration. And I know Andy was talking about them achieving Mach 0.82, but I agree with Andy. I think they're going to go supersonic before the end of the year, for sure. And each one of those tests, they're testing both the pressurization, but also, taking a methodical approach to Mach 0.7, 0.75, 0.8. They achieve 8.2, but I'm sure the next couple of flights they'll go 8.5, 9, 9.5, and then eventually the sound barrier here. But they're basically flying every week. At least Boom Supersonic, and then this X-59 from NASA will probably get into the air pretty soon. So I don't know, it's becoming more real.
Just need to convert this now to a passenger aircraft, and we're good.
Just scale it up. I think they'll be able to do it.
Yeah. Armando, next story for you. Going back to something we covered back in 2023.
Yeah, we did. This is a bit of a follow-up on FlightGlobal.com. Firefighting company Colson Aviation has now implemented a minimum drop height of 200 feet following the non-fatal crash of a Boeing 737-300 firefighting aircraft in Australia. In addition, Australia's state of Western Australia is also implementing a legal height of 200 feet for large tankers, according to the final report from this crash that took place in 2023. The changes are stemming from this aircraft that hit a ridgeline while attempting a go-around from a second partial drop. The report revealed that during the second drop, the aircraft was at just 57 feet, traveling at 110 knots with the engines at high idle. So they were obviously trying to recover. They did so to about 81 feet, slowed down to 107 knots at the end of the drop. And the descent rate at the time of the impact, I think, was 1,800 feet per minute. The pilot did pitch the nose up, but I think it was just a little bit too late for them to put that power in. That delay in the engines spooling up and generating that thrust resulted in the aircraft essentially hitting some rising terrain. Now, unbelievably, this was the crash that the two pilots walked away, despite what the Matt, I don't know if you put up a picture or not, but what it looked like afterwards, these two pilots literally walked away from the crash. They egressed the aircraft and they were just standing. I think they were released within an hour of getting to the hospital. But yeah, so flying a 737 at 100 feet and 150 knots or 200 knots, there's some pretty significant configuration changes happening, especially some weight and balance configurations changes since you're dropping all of that retardant. I don't know if they drop the full load of retardant or just a partial, but either way, it's pretty significant. I think this adding an extra 100 feet to their minimum drop altitude is probably a good idea. Maybe it'll reduce.
What do you think the spool up time is? Sort of 5 or 6 seconds for those engines?
Yeah, it depends if you're going from idle to full power, probably 7-8 seconds even maybe. Also depends a lot on the density altitude. I mean, these were pretty low, but it was a hot firefighting type of day. So but yeah, it's long enough that if you got an 1,800 foot descent and you're only at 200 feet, that's not a great place to be. But again, unbelievably, they walked away from it.
It's an amazing job these guys do as well, and not an easy one. Fire bombers, firefighting pilots are some of the most capable pilots out there, and generally they come from all kinds of backgrounds and not just military backgrounds. But it's even the smaller the air tractor, the thrush air bosses, right there, 1,000-pound airplanes with 1,000-pound retardant load, they're almost doing aerobatics when they're marking the drop lines for the larger tankers. Yeah, Darren in the chat room says a lot of turbulent air in those fires with that heat.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, Matt, you've got the next story, and I think we all our ears pretty much perked up when we saw these pictures and the stories crop up on social media this week, because it's not something you kind of tend to hear on a daily basis.
No, it's a bit of a, I won't say a funny one. Far from it. In fact, certainly as a nervous passenger, pretty blooming terrifying. I'm not going to lie. The source on this one is CBS News, and it's Haiti Spirit Airlines plane FAA is the headline is bans U.S. flights to Haiti after bullets hit 3 planes as gang violence rages. The Federal Aviation Administration prohibited U.S. airlines from flying to Haiti for 30 days after gangs shot 3 planes, and the United Nations also Tuesday temporarily suspended flights to Port-au-Prince, limiting humanitarian aid coming into the country. Bullets hit a Spirit Airlines plane when it was about to land Oh, no, it's gone. 1 second. Sorry, my computer's playing up. There we go. Bullets hit a Spirit Airlines plane when it was about to land in the capital on Monday, injuring a flight attendant and forcing the airport to shut down. Photos and videos obtained by the Associated Press show bullet holes dotting the interior of the plane. On Tuesday, JetBlue and American Airlines announced that post-flight inspections found their planes had also been shot Monday while departing Port-au-Prince. American suspended flights to the capital until the 12th of February. The shootings were part of a wave of violence that erupted as the country, plagued by gang violence, swore in a new prime minister after a politically tumultuous process. UN spokesman Stephanie Durack says that the agency documented 20 armed clashes and more roadblocks affecting humanitarian operation during the violence on Monday. The US Embassy in Port-au-Prince said in a security alert Monday that it was aware of gang-led efforts to block travel to and from the capital that may include armed violence and disruptions to roads, ports and airports. Spirit said that Flight 951 from Fort Lauderdale in Floridale to Port-au-Prince was diverted and landed in Santiago in the Dominican Republic, where an inspection revealed evidence of damage to the aircraft consistent with gunfire. The aircraft has been taken out of service and Spirit services to Port-au-Prince, and I want to say, is it Cap Hayton? Apologies if I've murdered. Have been suspended. The airline has said.
This is just
it's a bit of a like this. This is literally my actual nightmare. This is.
I mean, I know you expect it in in certain areas.
You shouldn't really expect it anywhere, but
no.
You know,
I mean, it happens more than you think. Believe it or not.
No, I believe you.
I mean, there was that IL-76. There was that Brasilia crash in East Africa. There was a Ukrainian 737 that got shot down in Tehran or something like that. MH17 that got shot down over Donetsk, right? In Ukraine, Mogadishu. There's literally dozens of incidents where aircraft have actually gone down. Not to mention just getting hit by small arms fire. Some of them bigger than small arms fire. MH17 was shot down by a missile system from, I guess, Russian separatists, but yeah.
I guess it's something that you don't expect to hear a commercial airliner being shot at by, essentially small arms fire. Would you say, Armando?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got shot at once over Tennessee.
Did you?
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the Osprey, we were doing a low-level route, same low-level route we did every night, and we heard a pop-up and hit the belly, and sure enough, we landed. Somebody had taken a couple shots at us.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't have happened here in the UK, Armando.
Probably not. Although you never know. I mean, the farmers, somebody gets disgruntled. You guys, you don't have the handgun stuff that we do, but there's plenty of rifles for sport hunting in the UK, and that's exactly the areas that we're doing our low level in.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, we had your friends over the night before last, actually, Armando. It made quite the impression on social media, on Facebook, on the local
really?
Local page, yeah. That everyone's saying about the Ospreys going over. I mean, some people were saying they're going over at about 50 feet, but I don't think that is...
No,
they might be.
No, we're at 500 minimum, 500 over the villages, and even that's the outskirts of the. If we're going over like Bungie, we'll be at 1,000 feet. We won't go.
And the problem
I can't speak to the Apaches out of Watersham, but
no,
those guys are treetop level. But as far as we go, we know we're good neighbors. We also know that we have a loud airplane, and we're not going to sneak up on anybody.
That is the thing with the Osprey. You can hear it before it gets.
Does it not have a stealth mode then? I mean,
no.
I think we in the desert, at least where the sound carries, I think it was something like 12 miles away. You could hear it.
Yeah, that sounds horrendous. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
So it's not armed. Ours aren't armed, so we weren't going to kill anybody, but we can scare them with our sound.
You can, yes, absolutely. I mean, yes, it's a brave person that hangs around to find out what they get up to. Let's be honest.
You give him a damn good haircut, Armando.
Well, yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah. Quite.
But you remember that when we accidentally took out the landing pad at Cambridge Hospital?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago, I think, that we tried to do like a joint exercise and go land at the hospital in a mass casualty evacuation exercise, and on lift off all the rubber pads from it was Addenbrooke's, right?
Yes.
Cambridge Addenbrooke's.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oopsie. Yes, absolutely.
Ugh, sorry about that.
Gemma's still trying to get the bill paid. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
This next one comes from Runway Girl Network, and Qantas plans new Recaro R3s for Sunrise Preview A330s. Unveiling the final piece of its long-haul passenger experience puzzle, Qantas is installing Recaro R3 economy seats, formerly the CL3810s, aboard their Airbus A330 aircraft that intend to retain through the middle of the 2030s. Qantas International Chief Executive Cam Wallace explains they're the same seats that will feature on our ultra-long-haul A350 1000 ULRs, so it'll be a preview of the Project Sunrise flying experience. I have to say, look at these seats, they don't look too bad. Qantas will start the refurb next year at its in-house maintenance facilities in Brisbane, and experts expect the first refitted aircraft to be in service by the end of calendar 2025. It then hopes that the entire refurbished fleet will be back in service by the end of 2026. While Recaro's economy class seat lines have not seen the delays that the business class seats have seen, the final assembly line for seats, which must be then shipped across the world from southwestern Germany to Brisbane, is dependent on the critical paths elsewhere in the supply chain, including in-flight entertainment systems. While Qantas says the set of rendering images is indicative, they certainly seem to indicate pleasing passenger experience upgrades. And those new 13.3 OLED screens, which Qantas says are a full 20% larger than their predecessors, feel massive in the R3s, which look to be pitched quite reasonably. The seats will feature very useful flip-down tray ledgers that were originally designed for personal electronic devices, but which your author often observes being used as a sort of empty your pockets catch-all by passengers. Qantas was an early adopter of the useful tray ledgers in its Boeing 787 economy cabins. The airline also notes that it has started its international Wi-Fi rollout across the A330 fleet. Fast and free Wi-Fi is expected to be available for Qantas flights for some routes in Asia on the Wi-Fi-enabled 330 aircraft from December this year. Passengers on activated aircraft can already connect to Wi-Fi while flying over Australia to destinations such as Hong Kong, Delhi and Bengaluru. This is thus presumably more of a satellite service agreement rollout than onboard hardware installation rollout. Indeed, promises Qantas, the service will offer enough bandwidth for every passenger to enjoy a fast and consistent connection. Similar to Qantas's domestic flights, where the speed and reliability of in-flight Wi-Fi has driven average take-up rates of 75%, with some routes showing up to 100% take-up. Now, I have to say, Nev, looking at these seats on here, they look quite comfortable being in an economy thing. And I have to say, having flown with BA a few times in the last year, I think their economy seating for their short haul could do with a bit of a change.
Yes. Some of the older ones leave a bit to be desired. They have got some new ones, and I was on a 321 Neo the other week, and they are a big improvement over the previous ones. I may have mentioned this before on the podcast, but I can't stop myself thinking that every time I see the word Recaro, a well-known manufacturer of aviation and car seats, it reminds me of my dear friend Paul from some 30-something years ago, who used to work at British Aerospace Marketing in Hatfield on the 146. And he was always into his cars, but he never quite got the pronunciation right. So he would say, "Oh, Nev, I've got this new Escort XR3i with the Ricardo seats." Some Spanish or Mexican job, obviously. So no matter how many times I corrected him, they were still Ricardo seats in his car. So that said, these look quite nice actually. But of course, seat design these days, it's all about saving weight as well, isn't it? If they can save a few pounds here and there, across 200 seats or whatever it is, or more than that in this case, that's quite substantial, isn't it? So that's a big consideration as well as passenger comfort.
Now, a very good friend of mine this week, Nev, flew out to New York with Virgin in a brand new 350, let me get this right, a 330-900, a Neo. And nice. he messaged me yesterday because I asked him how he got on with the flight, because the aircraft was 2 months old, and he said it was the most uncomfortable seats he'd ever sat on an aircraft.
Oh,
yeah. For a 7-hour flight.
That is not the news we wanted to hear.
No, not for an aircraft of that age. But Yeah, I think that it does differ between airlines, though. The economy seating does differ quite a lot. Even the difference between EasyJet's economy, their seats, and the Ryanair seats and the 737s are different in how they're padded out. I think so, anyway. But you'll have to give us a report, Matt, when you sample the Emirates, because I have to say they are comfortable.
Yeah,
economy thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was doing all right actually, and now suddenly I'm starting to feel all a bit nervous about it, especially after the conversation that you guys were having just as we started today. But I'm sure it'll be fine.
What do you think, Armando, with the state of seating? You happy with the offers that you have with American and United and all those?
Yeah. That's about
Not
it.
that you travel in the back very often, but
No, even the first class, they're not super comfortable on American, which is 80% of the time I'm on American, and sometimes it's a little bit underwhelming. I always try to channel my inner Nev, and I get upgraded.
I think is so a mantra we should all strive to be. I think yes,
we do. I think I dare to say that our first class would be very underwhelming to Nev if he was living in the US and having to travel regularly domestically. They're not. It's not.
I seem to remember. Yeah, I went on American. It was American, wasn't it? Yes, from Dallas Fort Worth to Portland, Oregon, last year. I think it was A320 or 321. Yeah, I'd agree with you, Armando. Yeah, it was okay for a 4.5 hour flight, but nothing fantastic.
Yeah.
First class, yeah.
The international stuff is good when you have good meals and silverware, but really a lot of times on a short domestic flight, 2 hours or less in even first class, aside from having the extra room, the width on the seat and extra little room for your knees, the the product isn't super, leaps and bounds above economy. So, but when you're going long, 4 hours or so across the country, it does make a difference. At least you get silverware and real hot food and stuff. But
I still maintain, Nev, one of the most comfortablest business class seats I sat in was when I was with you travelling back from Dubai on the 747.
That 744, that was brilliant, wasn't it? I really enjoyed that. And little did we know that was the last time we're probably ever going to fly in a 747 as well. Wow. Yeah, but it was comfy, wasn't it? I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
John Jester in the chat room has his own opinion on those new seats. It's a 4-letter word. Let's just say that. But,
he's not happy, is he? Not happy at all.
yes.
Yeah, and he's commuting. He commutes across the world often.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do?
Trouble is realistically, are they actually going to listen? Though this is the thing. I mean, it's just like they've made their decision. They've invested that money. They're not going to go away and do it again, are they? That's the reality. So, this is obviously the new livery and the new padding, the new styling and all that kind of thing. And that's it. We're going to be stuck with it for 10 years.
I think for short haul, when you're travelling 2 or 3 hours, it's not a big thing. But when you're travelling in economy, long haul, 7, 8, 9, 10-hour flights, I think, to hell with saving weight, you need to at least make sure your customers, your passengers, are reasonably comfortable for that amount of time.
Is it just because it's cheap, though?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Meg and I are going to Germany in about a week and a half, and I'm seriously contemplating just spending the money and upgrading to business because the thought of 7 hours, 8 hours in economy doesn't excite me.
No, and it's it's a reasonably long flight as well, isn't it? That's the thing. It's going to be 8, 9 hours, something like that. 8 hours.
Yeah, I think it's 7 there, 8 back.
Yeah.
Charlotte to Munich. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, Armando. Yeah. Oh, carry on, Matt.
No, I was going to say that at least the saving grace is you're the right side of the coast, if you like. So at least you haven't got to go over much of America in order to get there. So that's the only saving grace, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I could put this comment up on the screen, but Dirk has just said in the chat room, probably a good idea you can't, Matt.
Okay.
Dirk has just said, save weight, leave your wife at home.
Oh.
Harsh.
Wait,
I mean,
doesn't that go right along with that retro ad that you played 2 weeks ago, right? That was a Delta that was like, look, we even cater to women.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. There we go.
Yeah. This week's is not as bad as that. But
let's hope not.
No. Armando, you've got the next story and moving slightly closer to home for this one.
Yeah, from the BBC, and I'm actually interested to get your guys' take on this in your individual industries, but a shortage of spare parts for the company ATR and ATR aircraft should ease next year, according to the manufacturer. Origny currently operates a fleet of 4 ATR-72 aircraft, with another expected to arrive in Guernsey later this year. That particular airline, like many others, has been subject to a disruption throughout the year, which has been blamed in part on lack of spare parts caused by issues with the supply chain, still resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. The chief commercial director, Alexis Vidal, said that the global supply chain for parts was still lagging behind and that he was optimistic that it would improve. He did say in 2024 that 2024 has been an interesting year for his company and that the market was still recovering from the pandemic. He did admit that ATR had global difficulties being as reactive as they would like to sourcing parts. The entire aviation sector has been impacted by the supply chain, which has had to ramp up since the pandemic. Following a year of disruption, a review of the states-owned airline was commissioned by the States Trading Supervisory Board, the STSB, costing the states £65,000. That report is set to be published next week. It is being conducted by 2 former British Airways staff and will look at the makeup of the airline's fleet and decisions made by the company throughout the year. The company sold its Embraer jets earlier this year as they moved to an all ATR fleet. And they were talking about also how ATR, which I think we talked about on the show, was moving towards certifying a hybrid aircraft somewhere around the year 2030. For us in the private jet industry, is still a major hassle, specifically in the Hawker. It's hard to get tires, wheels, windshields, things that wear out regularly. We couldn't find our engine. We had a loaner engine on our aircraft. We couldn't find an ITT harness. Nobody makes them, and it was hard to find them. But everybody I talked to in the industry is having troubles with supply chain issues still resulting from the pandemic. But I was interested, Nev, in your industry, and Carlos, you work in the warehouse, and I don't know, have you seen any improvements, or are you still seeing pretty significant challenges from supply chain issues?
Yeah, I mean, things have improved in our industry a lot, and a lot of our competitors use the same sort of chipsets as we do. But what we did in the company I work for, we ended up buying a lot of components from wherever we could get them from, and then got more R&D people on board so that we could actually write firmware for the components that we could get. But it was the unreliability of the supply chain that was horrific. And I think what's also impacted Origny here is that when they got their MGO 195 jet in 2014, I say jet singular, they've only ever had one jet, and they sold it last year. And they had unreliability from that jet as well, and obviously a limited number of crew that were qualified to fly it. So they decided to dispense with that and go down the ATR 72 route, straight into a supply chain problem. But it was interesting that a lot of my customers, I'm going back, probably 2.5, 3 years now during this supply chain thing. Some of my commercial lawyer customers in London think that they're above anybody else. And they said, well, the thing is, Nev, we can buy anything that we want tomorrow. Like, it's really interesting. But you try and order yourself a new Range Rover, or back then, it was on a 2.5-year delivery because the same chipset was used in the audio stack. And so there's a whole load of vehicles off the production line, but just simply waiting for parts. And it affected white goods, washing machines, dishwashers, all kinds of things. So that is better, what I call the microelectronics side. But yeah, it just shows you how flimsy and fragile the overall supply chains are for almost whatever you think about, really. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't struggle so much with components at the moment. The thing we struggle with at the moment is raw materials for a lot of the projects we do. And the biggest problem for us at the minute, to be brutally honest, is the whole shipping process, Nev. Export, or sending stuff abroad and getting stuff in from the EU.
Don't say that word.
Sorry.
Don't say it.
You need someone with a lot of export experience. So Mrs. Nev was a former highly qualified import and export clerk, actually.
Oh,
so
there we go.
If only if only A, she hadn't retired, and B, didn't live so far apart.
These things can be done remotely. It's fine.
Yeah, we can change this to the LinkedIn podcast.
Yeah, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, indeed.
I'll tell you what, we're just talking, before we move on, just talking about ATR, that I've just had a look at their orders, their order books.
Empty?
No, they've got a lot of orders on their books. A lot of lease companies that are ordering these to lease out, and also some major airlines around Europe who are ordering these, and including as well the Italian Coast Guard as well has also ordered an ATR 42-600 for their maritime patrol aircraft. So they're busy. They're busy bodies over at ATR. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the ATR pretty much got the corner on the market for turboprops. Is very, very efficient aircraft. The ATP is not as good. The Saab, I don't think they make any more. I don't know where the Q400 stands right now, if they're still making it or not. But I think the ATR is a great airplane, used worldwide.
Yeah. Now, Nev, you've got the next story, and not so good news about parts.
Speaking of supply chain issues, simpleflying.com, British Airways, bit of a problem over there at the moment. The winter is posing quite a challenge for BA. By the end of the first quarter of 2025, BA are pulling Bahrain and Kuwait from its schedule as it deals with Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engine issues on its Boeing 787 fleet. The latest move follows significant changes to other areas of its network in recent months. This began with issues with its A380 fleet, which meant service disruption on some of its core routes, including to Washington Dulles. The latest suspensions include 2 routes to the Middle East, and the carrier is axing them as it does not believe its 787 engine issues will be solved quickly, according to a statement that it sent into Simple Flying. BA uses a 777-200ER for its flights to Bahrain, which it will need to provide standby capacity for flights elsewhere on its network that require a replacement plane. The London to Kuwait connection uses a mix of 787-8, -9 and -10s. The 2 routes are not leisure focused. Instead, they cater more to higher paying premium and business customers, meaning less impact for customers looking for holiday getaway. Heading for Points notes, though, that these cuts will lead to several redundancies at the company's cabin crew base in Bahrain. Its reasoning is nothing new because the same rhetoric was employed as the carrier pushed its Kuala Lumpur relaunch at the last minute. It once again blamed Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engine issues for the disruption, noting, however, that it had managed to get the vast majority of its passengers rebooked onto one of its partner airlines. The service cancellation follows disruption across the network, including on flights to Baltimore, Shanghai and Delhi. But it's not just the 787 that's plaguing the BA network. Instead, its flagship A380 fleet has also been giving problems. The number of cancellations took place as a result of reliability issues following long-term storage during COVID. If you remember, there was 12 aircraft parked up at Madrid and other places, a lack of replacement parts and aircraft, and finally a lack of pilots. Most recently, earlier this week, it emerged that the carrier will be suspending its own A380 operated routes between London Heathrow and Dallas Fort Worth during next year's summer season. Instead, partner airlines, American Airlines, will introduce more flights on that route to cover the loss of capacity. Oh dear, if only they hadn't retired those 767s and 74s. Now, obviously, the fuel burn would have been greater, and the reliability may have issues there. I don't know, but this is turning out to be an absolute nightmare for the airline at the moment. And it's not ending quickly either. This is the other problem. It's not as though it's just being solved just around the corner, you know. So Darren Smith also points out quite correctly that their 777-200s are also past their best in some cases, he says, and they often go tech as well, which is very true. I hear a lot about that as well. So let's see what happens. Let's see if Rolls-Royce can solve these problems quickly. I mean, obviously they are solving them, but the backlog is absolutely massive. That's the biggest problem, I think, isn't it?
It's amusing. They got rid of the 747 and the 767s because obviously the fuel burn on those aircraft to save money. Now it's costing them probably the same, if not more.
Yeah,
with cancellations and delays and probably claims that passengers are making because of these cancellations and delays and stuff, and having to cancel routes and stuff. So, yeah, perhaps they shouldn't have, like you said, Nev, should have kept some of the 747s to one side.
Well, I don't know how much life they had in them left. I bet they had enough. But they were committed at the time, obviously, to the newer aircraft with the Trent 1000s in. You can't just sort of stop the production line or pull out of orders easily. I wouldn't have thought at all. So they just assumed and hoped that they were going to get good reliability, and also obviously the much reduced fuel burn and efficiency on these on the 787s and A350s compared to the older stuff. So, quite a big moment. I think we'll be returning to this story over many months, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
Now, Matt, you've got the next story, and it's that we've actually covered this, I think, a while back, kind of a new scheme. All-you-can-eat scheme. Yes,
a kind of all-you-can-eat, but it is an all-you-can-eat scheme, but for flying, basically, and we did cover it. Well, I want to say it was an Australian airline or someone like that was doing something similar, weren't they, at one point? Perhaps my memory has let me down there. But anyway, Wizz Air, who were doing a similar sort of scheme, is to expand its all-you-can-fly scheme to thousands more passengers. Budget airline Wizz Air is set to expand its all-you-can-fly scheme to thousands more members after its popularity with passengers. The chief executive of the company, of the budget airline, said that the airline plans to open up its scheme to a further 15,000 members in the coming weeks after all its passes sold out within 2 days when it launched back in August. The Wizz Air scheme costs €599 or £496 per year and allows customers to book a maximum of 72 hours in advance as a standby deal with a flat price of $9.99. That's euros, by the way, or £8.30 in sterling for each flight, plus fees for any extras like baggage. Under the scheme, passengers can take up to 3 flights a day, allowing the airline to fill the seats on flights flights that Wizz Air knows it will never completely fill. They said that there'd been huge demand for the scheme, which would suit those who travel often, regularly commute on certain routes, or have the flexibility to book last-minute cheap options. We are working on an all-you-can-fly version 2.0, and we will hopefully have some news in weeks, they said. That's according to The Telegraph. We are creating a real gain for the consumer that also benefits our business. It's a win-win. However, some environmental groups have criticised the scheme. Senior campaigners at the climate charity Possible, calling the scheme grotesque and deeply stupid. The UK director at Transport and Environment spokesperson told The Independent. What an incredulous example of just how little the aviation industry cares about the climate. Flying isn't some buffet for people to gorge themselves on. It has serious implications for the planet, but we aren't powerless to tackle this irresponsible corporate behaviour. By taxing aviation fairly through fuel tax and increasing air passenger duty, schemes like this simply wouldn't fly, and we would protect both people and planet by shifting travel to more sustainable modes like rail. Noting Wizz Air's claim to have one of the lowest emission intensity rates in the European aviation industry, the CEO said that this is just propaganda. People want to travel. The real question is, how do they do that with the lowest impact on the environment? He said, you go to these COP meetings discussing carbon emissions, and when you look around the airport, you see hundreds of private jets, whereas we just got recognised as having the lowest carbon footprint of any airline in Europe. Simon Calder, travel correspondent at The Independent, said when the scheme was announced, as long as the passenger is occupying a seat that would otherwise be empty, which is Wizz Air's firm plan, the marginal impact is the small amount of fuel burn to fly the extra weight of the person and their baggage. So it is less damaging than buying a ticket normally, which creates demand and informs airline decisions about future flight planning. But the question for every traveller should be, is your journey really necessary? Now, I do have some, even I have some limited comments to make about this, to be brutally honest. First of all, I think that's one of the most sensible things that Simon Calder has ever said, which is refreshing. And this is kind of the point, isn't it, really? The thing is these seats are only available to people where they would otherwise be empty. So many could argue there's actually more, I don't know, more environmentally friendly, if you like, to put a bum in that seat instead of basically the plane flying on its own. There's the other flip side to that. I mean, they're saying about, taxing it fairly and all that kind of thing. I assume that fare obviously doesn't include airport taxes. I don't think that the airport tax would be the be-all and end-all to whether you chose to go on a flight or not. You don't choose the location. You don't avoid Norwich Airport, for example, because of the Norwich City Council tax that they apply to it.
Well, it's only a tenner.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. And you don't mind paying, it's actually the cost of the rest of the flight is the reason why you don't use Norwich Airport, not the government £10 tax, if you see it, or the local council £10 tax. So, I mean, that your all-you-can-eat seat, if you like, certainly won't be including airport taxes and things like that. So, it's just like taxing it fairly won't mean that people use the airport less. But then I guess, but perhaps that's not what they're trying to get at. But yeah, anyway, I'll shut up now.
A bit of breaking news.
Okay.
To report, it's Darren Smith's birthday today.
Oh.
So many happy returns, Darren. Hope you're having
happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Darren. Happy birthday to you. There you go.
Wow. Look at that. I'll refrain from singing, but I'll say that's a beautiful DC3 on his profile picture.
Such a nerd.
25 plus VAT.
Yes, absolutely. At the new or old rate, that's the ultimate question.
Oh, I know.
Indeed.
Right. Next up, it's from the Evening News. 24.co.uk. Moving very close to home with this one, Matt.
Yes.
I know.
We mentioned Norwich Airport a moment ago.
We did, yeah. Ryanair flights give Norwich Airport passenger numbers boost. I definitely know this because I've been reading some good things online. Between April and October this year, the airport welcomed 316,000 passengers, a 23% increase from the same period in 2023. Bosses have largely credited the rise to the introduction of Ryanair flights to Alicante, Faro, and Malta in April. Over the summer months, Ryanair carried almost 63,000 passengers, exceeding the initial prediction of 60,000. The airline announced in May its flights to Alicante will continue through the winter months, and it's since confirmed that all 3 routes will be back again next summer. I didn't doubt they wouldn't be. Richard Pace, managing director of Norwich Airport, said the launch of the Ryanair routes has been a huge success, carrying more passengers than forecast and accounting for a total increase in passenger numbers of almost a quarter on last summer. The new routes have complemented TUI's 9 very popular sunshine destinations from Norwich. They're also encouraging to see demand from KLM flights to Amsterdam, which grow year on year, providing passengers with connections to over 155 global destinations via Schiphol Airport this winter. He said, "We're looking forward to a busy 2025 and continuing to offer passengers great choice with the ease and convenience of flying from their local airport." Now, I will say that from the few people I've spoken to, two of whom work at Norwich Airport, they are not shocked at all at how busy the airport has become, and they knew that this was going to work. I mean, Ryanair obviously knew this was going to work, bringing these 3 routes from Norwich, and it has worked phenomenally. And I think from what my friend at Norwich was saying, I think it was something like a 96% capacity on every flight to Alicante, Malta, and Faro. So Ryanair they're bossing it there. It wouldn't surprise me. I think if they bring some more routes in next year as well, make some announcements towards the end of this year, I think someone has hinted that may be a thing. The only thing I will say is as Matt will probably know this very well, Norwich Airport is not a huge airport. Its infrastructure is, albeit is good, it needs expansion, especially within the departures area and also where the security areas and stuff are.
I think there's still room. I think there's still room to. I mean, if that, I think the only thing that Ryanair are going to have to be quite careful about is spacing. I think I mean, actually, if you spot those slots nicely throughout the day, then there's a good chance that you can do it with the existing infrastructure. It's going to be more jobs in aviation in Norwich, which is absolutely a good thing. I'm quite excited about it. I'm really pleased that it's working out so nicely. Mostly, it's very positive feedback in terms of the security experience and everything for people there. More so than can be said about Stansted at the moment. I mean, there's lots of, there are some huge advantages about smaller airports. Working with security and things like that.
And the saving on money is brilliant, especially for me and Matt. When you think you're driving 20 minutes to go to an airport, and especially if you can get a family member to drop you off, you're saving money on parking.
But you can bus it. That's the thing from here. You can actually bus it from here. But also the other flip side, the other advantage to that one is affordable flights out of Norwich. And that's genuinely the first time that's happened for myself and Carlos is being able to use that airport. I mean, I dare say Thompson are a bit cross, but
you don't get that same price with Thompson.
No, you don't.
I've seen flights to Malta, return flights from Norwich to Malta with Ryanair with hand baggage only, admittedly, for less than £200 return.
Yeah.
I've got an idea.
Oh.
Why don't we try and do an interview with Richard Pace, Managing Director of Norwich Airport. If we can't do it live, we'll do it recorded perhaps, and see if we can get him on the show and have a chat to him about the airport expansion and what it all means.
Love that. Yeah, absolutely.
I shall make the inquiries.
Absolutely, that'd be very exciting. Yeah.
Nev, you have got the last story, and this is quite the big numbers.
Well, yeah, we're just talking about Stansted just now, weren't we? On BBC website, it says that Stansted said it has recorded its busiest day in its history after more than 107,000 passengers passed through the terminal on the 27th of October. The new daily record beat the previous high of 104,000 set on the 23rd of August, and it's the fourth time the record has been broken since in 2024, in fact. Strong demand for family holidays and short breaks, particularly during half term, also saw Stansted Airport record its busiest ever October. Destinations like Turkey, the Canaries, Spain and Portugal were the most popular, whilst the number of passengers flying into Stansted also reached new levels. More than 2.6 million passengers used the airport in October, and 99% of passengers passed through security in 50 minutes or less, with an average queue time of 2 minutes during the main departure peaks. Gareth Powell, London Stansted's managing director, said it was an incredible achievement and its investment programme would benefit passengers in the future. The 5-year programme will secure links to even more global destinations, helping transform the airport journey, he said. The Department for Transport also said that £1.1 billion will be spent on an expansion project at the airport. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? So they're saying that they're getting the passengers through security in record-breaking time, despite the numbers of people using it. Amazing.
All those people paying the extra.
I've not tried it for a while, I have to say.
No.
Well, yeah, got to watch them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a big problem, didn't we, when we went through to thing, because in fact, both you and I had done the fast track thing. Carl, we'd done it in advance, hadn't we? We'd done the thing, and then we tried to do it again while we were stuck in the queue, and this guy would not accept it, would it? Because the thing that we had, he reckoned wasn't the right one, and it was just like, it is. Yeah. But anyway, that's by the by. That's my little Nev terminal tantrum.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
And even Stansted, to be fair, Stansted's only an hour and a half for me and you, Matt.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, I'm coming back into Stansted on the way home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going out via Heathrow and coming back via Stansted.
Right.
Fun.
So there we go. What should we do next? I'll tell you what we'll do next. Let's do the retro airline ad of the week, Nev.
Oh, yes.
Shall we?
Like this. Yes, absolutely. Well, this week we go back to 1979 and to the dawn of an up-and-coming US airline that has now become a subsidiary of the American Airlines Group. And check out the classic 737 profile.
Hello, Main Street, USA. Hello, Fifth Avenue. Hello, smiling Southern faces. Hello, busy Northeast places. From the middle of America to the Outer Banks. Just say hello, say hello. Hello, Piedmont Airlines. Say hello, say hello. Hello, Piedmont Airlines.
Wow.
Oh, Piedmont.
I beg your pardon.
Back in the day. How about that?
I don't. You're right. Okay. I mean, it's the most PC one we've had for a while.
I mean, Armando, it just seems like most of these ads that we have every week are from your neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Piedmont is our hometown airline here in Charlotte. They were the Piedmont. The new iteration of Piedmont is based in Salisbury, Maryland, which my dad actually worked for. But the original Piedmont was here at North Carolina Airline. It was, I think, based in Charlotte. So, yeah, actually, I hang out with. So I used to live on Lake Norman. I think some of you guys went to my old house. Most of the Lake Norman was it's man-made lake and was built in the 60s. Most of the pilots there were like old Piedmont guys. And every once in a while, I'll fly up to a little airport here called Twin Lakes. I'll take the biplane up there on a Saturday morning. And there's a bunch of retired Piedmont guys. and they have some stories, man. Like those guys were cowboys back in the day, like actual like cowboy hats, boots. They used to like work hard, play hard, a very family environment. I love hearing stories about the old Piedmont days back in those 727, 737, 200s and all that stuff. Like,
didn't they do a retro livery?
There's an air. Back. Yeah, I think there's an A320 or A321 that's in the Piedmont livery. American did a retro livery for a pretty good portion of the airlines that they've absorbed over the years. So I think there's like an Allegheny, there's an Ozark, there's Piedmont, California Air, California Air, something like that. Yeah, but Piedmont guys, they're fun to hang out with, even in their old age now. The original.
Richard Adams has got a comment about that retro airline ad, Matt.
Oh, right, okay. There we go. Must have cost all of $50 to make that one. Probably a bit more than that, I suspect. Like I say, we were saying while that was playing, they literally don't make the jingles like they used to, do they? Sorry, that one's going. Hang on, Richard, which is $200,000 in this in today's money. Yes, probably. It's I'm enjoying the series, as I say, but I do press play with a certain element of dread and fear for a time gone by, shall we say. Slightly nervous about that, but anyway,
I love it.
Yeah,
I remember having Piedmont. So NASCAR here in Charlotte is huge. It's the home of NASCAR, and Piedmont used to sponsor one of the race cars. So I still have in my box of like childhood toys a bunch of Piedmont branded race cars and stuff. So
nice.
That was pretty cool.
Captain Cruz has done some homework.
It's November 745 Victor Juliet A319 is Piedmont. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. That's one with the retro livery. One is, yeah.
I see. Right, I'm up to speed.
Yeah,
yes, sorry.
Very cool. Right, time to hand things over to Nev to introduce the next part of the show.
Yeah, thanks, Carlos. Do you remember going back to April of this year? Can't believe it was that long ago. A colleague of mine that works in the same industry as me, Grant Curran, came on the show, and he was explaining this was taking his first flight ever in 44 years, and we had quite a long chat about that. So he's actually done a lot of travelling, but most of it by bus, train or by boat. Anyway, I thought it'd be a nice idea to have a bit of a follow-up chat with him. So earlier this week, he came back on the show and we had a chat about what he's been up to. Let's have a look. Well, here we are again, and more importantly, he is back again, our friend Grant Curran. So hello, Grant, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, Nev. 8 months. Can you believe it was 8 months we last spoke when I done my first flight? So
amazing, isn't it? We were just saying before we started recording. Yeah. Where has that time gone? So, well, let's. I mean, I've told everybody what's happened with you and all the rest of it with your flying so far. But pick up the story from April onwards. What's been going on with?
Yeah. So obviously, as you know from the previous interview we done, that I'd done that day trip to Jersey to finally get over my fears after 44 years, which enabled me to take my first holiday to Mijas in Spain, which was absolutely brilliant, fantastic, sort of lovely locations over there. Did you know Mijas yourself?
I've not been there. No.
Yeah, Costa del Sol.
Okay.
Yeah, so also done a day trip to Gibraltar while we were over there as well. So I drove on the other side of the road for the first time. So that was quite an experience, I must admit. So yeah, drove to Gibraltar, done a tour of the Rock of Gibraltar, which was fantastic. It's like little Britain, really, over there.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's one of my favourite parts. I mean, if I could afford it, I would definitely buy an apartment in Gibraltar, but it is so expensive to be there, definitely. But well, I'm glad you enjoyed that. So that was right. So tell us about that flight. How did that go for you?
That flight. I was a little bit. The nerves started kicking in probably a week before. Started building up a little bit, but as soon as I checked in and got on the plane, the nerves just went. I mean, I just sort of, perfect flight, EasyJet this time. So obviously it was British Airways with a Jersey trip. So I was a little bit like, I wonder what they're going to be like. But it was just, yeah, it was fantastic, smooth flight. Landing was brilliant. And just went really, really well.
Does it ever occur to you wish you'd done this years ago, really?
Not necessarily on that flight, but it certainly did by the time I finished all my holidays this year. I mean, I was sort of looking at it thinking, I cannot believe it took me 44 years to do this. Because there is just nothing to it. I mean, you just sort of sit there and, end up chatting to your passengers next to you, and just a really, really nice experience. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear. I think it's always, I often say on the podcast, the most difficult part is getting on and off the plane, or getting your luggage, or there's delays and that kind of stuff. The flying bit is really straightforward, really, isn't it? I think.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah, very straightforward. And then when you touch down abroad, it's just that nice feeling, you see all the sun, out the window, and it's thinking, oh, this is great. So, yeah, no problems at all with the
Oh, that's brilliant. Now, that wasn't your only flight this year. Where else did you go to?
Yeah, so I've been to Sicily, stayed in a place called Taormina. Sicily was fantastic. I think we went at the end of August, and it was 37 degrees out there. It was absolutely roasting. So I done snorkeling over there for the first time, which was fantastic. Visited Mount Etna volcano. Again, great experience. And what else did we do there? Do you remember the film The Godfather?
Yes.
Yeah, done the Godfather tour. Had all pictures in the church, and it was just Sicily was amazing. Extremely, extremely hot. Extremely hot. So
yeah, will be, wouldn't it? And so you went to one of the Greek islands as well, didn't you?
Yeah. So to finish it off, so I've really, really made up for lost time. Went to Santorini only recently, came back about 2 weeks ago. That was probably the best of the lot, actually. Very chilled, very relaxing holiday. I think the weather was 24, so it was still quite warm. Very windy in the evenings, but yeah, absolutely brilliant holiday that was. I recommend Santorini. So probably saved the best till last. And again, just going through the flights again, every flight I've been on has been smooth. I haven't really experienced any turbulence. The landings have been superb. It's as I say, it's crazy that I left it so long.
Santorini is a great island. I went there with one of our industry chums on a company event a few years ago, and absolutely brilliant. As you say, it's a beautiful place, and it can get a bit chilly in the evenings, but it's quite a unique island, I thought, I must say.
Oh, it is. In fact, we want to go back there again next year. The hotel was amazing. We stayed at. In fact, the owner was a Tottenham fan, which was pretty good as well.
Oh, wow,
so, it's
isn't it? Really?
A bit of a funny story going on the way to Santorini. I think we arrived at 11 p.m. at night, and so when we got off the flight, we went to pick up our luggage, and it wasn't there, which was quite a shock. So basically, no luggage travelled on the plane. So all the passengers had no luggage, which wasn't great. So for the first 24 hours, we had no toothpaste, no clothes, nothing. I had to sunbathe me boxer shorts the first day.
Oh dear! So how long did it take them to get your luggage to you?
24 hours. Which was good, but in a way, it was sort of the first day. It sort of took a day away from us, really. But it was quite a funny story. But I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was uproar, but it's just one of those things. Isn't it? We got it 24 hours later, but I think some passengers didn't get it till near their holiday had finished. So we were one of the lucky ones. Yeah.
Oh dear! It's always one of the hazards of travelling, isn't it? Really, it's not happened to me that many times. Probably 5 or 6 in total, I suppose, in all the years I've been flying. But when it does happen, now if the airline's good about it and you can claim back things that you need and stuff like that. Most of them will do that, and they'll refund you fairly quickly as well, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but having said that, I thought EasyJet really. Other than that, I mean, the flights were fantastic. The service was, really good. Booked my next holiday now. We're going to Madeira just for 4 days at the end of March. So, yeah,
there's no stopping it
now, aren't I?
Yeah. God. Yeah. Now, one thing, I mean, yours is a really great story, Grant, but what would be your sort of tips for people that have been in the same position as you in the past and just weren't keen on the idea of flying?
Yeah, I mean, I think I touched on it before. I think, again, it's doing that initial flight. It is, as I said, living in the present, isn't it? It's taking it sort of, minute by minute, like when I met Alan back in the day to the bus stop and then, to the airport, and do it in sort of stages. I know it's easier said than done, but it's just, if you can just just live in the present and get on that plane. And once you've done it, I mean, I do go on, I actually go on support groups on Facebook now and give advice of how I done it. And there was a girl on there recently, and she was taking her first flight, and, I was just got a comment. I said, "You'll be fine." It's, I explained to her it's 44 years and that it took me. And and then I saw a picture on that she said, and then she's advising people on the group as well, which I thought was quite funny.
Well, that's a nice thing. I mean, having been through that experience, you start giving back a bit now, can't you, as well? And helping people with problems.
And as I say, it's just, I've experienced some great locations through doing that, which I never would have done otherwise. As you know, I was going on those ridiculously long coach journeys, ferry journeys. Although I'm actually going back on the Eurostar though in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to Lille just for a night, so to see the Christmas markets. So I'm not totally giving up on the Eurostar.
No, there's a fella on YouTube called Scott, he does a YouTube channel called Planes, Trains and Everything. And he's the fellow that takes a coach from Glasgow to Sicily, and it's just horrific. I mean, and all the stories he comes up with. But I mean, he carries on doing it. He likes flying as well, but he just does that just to see what it would be like, But
so I'm actually looking forward to going on that Euros, because I feel like I can appreciate it now, because I was doing it to avoid getting on an aeroplane. So now I feel I can actually go and enjoy that train trip now. So I'm going to go for my pilot's license now. So that's
right.
I'm joking.
Wow. Okay, that is a big leap. But it wouldn't be the first time. I've heard of a lot of people that just didn't like flying or had a unnatural fear of flying, perhaps, and they did end up getting their pilot's license and then flying commercially. So you never know, do you? So
you never know.
But well, Grant, it's been absolutely brilliant to talk to you again. Thanks very much indeed for telling us your adventure, and we'll have to have you on the show again after your next trip.
All right, lovely. Okay. I can't wait. Yeah, no, fantastic, and thanks for taking the time to listen to my story.
You're very welcome. Take care. All the best.
Cheers, Nev. Bye.
I mean, gone from one extreme to the other there, Nev, like he's talking about his pilot, he's gone bonkers.
I love how he just dropped that in at the end there.
Just like a throwaway aside, dear.
But no, I mean, great to speak to him again, but it just reminds me of what's happened yesterday with one of my work colleagues that was flying from Leeds, Bradford to Amsterdam just for the day with his demo kit, and the airline insisted that he must check it into the hold. I have to say, I wouldn't have had any of that, and he said, but what happens if it doesn't arrive, because it's really important, because I'm just going there and back in a day. And you can guess what happened, can't you?
No,
it didn't arrive, and his house keys were also in there as well, which was a bit of an error on his part. But anyway, so things can go wrong, can't they? But anyway, great to hear back from Grant, and I'm delighted that he's really got into it now as well. It's made a massive difference, and the fact that he can help other people too. I think that's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, that is good. Well done him.
Well done him. Exactly. See, it can be done. It can be done. It made even more better if you're sitting in business class or first. Anyway, moving on to first class. Armando, handing things over to you.
Oh, it always makes me so happy to be able to say this. Matt, don't take your eyes off the enemy. Lift up the guard. Hit the gray switch.
Black bogies
13550, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. Undersea boogie.
I suppose I could always just tell you to hit the pickle button, but you wouldn't know what that means. So.
A what now?
Yeah, exactly. So the first story
that's
is
something that you usually find stored in vinegar, isn't it? And like
exactly, yeah. Simpleflying.com. This is twice that Saab has come up in one show. The new Saab JAS 39. That's the E version of the Gripen. It's the newest and most capable multi-role fighter in the Brazilian Air Force. Has made its debut in a set of war games hosted there in Brazil. The E is the latest variant of the Gripen family of fighter jets that Sweden is looking to sell to international buyers. It was built in Sweden for flexibility, ruggedness, ease of maintenance, and the ability to operate in comparatively austere conditions. And we've seen that in some of the exercises there in Northern Europe, where they're landing them on roads and things like that. This particular exercise is called the Cruzeiro do Sul exercise 2024. That's this Brazilian war game that is described as the largest multinational operational war exercise. It is being held over the last week, ends here in a couple of days on November 15th. It attracts more than 100 military aircraft from 16 countries, including the U.S. Air Force, which sent a flight of F-15Es. And among some of these far-off countries, the South African Air Force is also participating. So the host nation, Brazil, is one of the countries purchasing this Gripen E, locally called the F-29E. It is purchasing at least 36 of them, according to Flight Global. It is being flown by Brazil's first air defense group since 2022. Then this exercise that they are conducting marks the first time that the Gripen E has participated in multinational military exercises anywhere. Brazil's Air Force are actually using these aircraft to test them against other countries' aircraft in sort of air-to-air battles. The Gripen E in Brazil is actually the most advanced fighter jet in South America at the time, although Chile has 36 F-16 C models that they are getting some upgrades. That would be kind of a runner-up, but the Gripen is definitely the newest of all of these. The older C and D models are being replaced pretty much everywhere around the world. Thailand is a big user of the Gripen. They're purchasing 12 of these Gripen Es instead of F-16s. And there are some reports that the older Gripens may actually be donated to Ukraine to help in their fight. There's only a few multi-role fighter jets in Latin American countries. Defense has been pretty low on the list of priorities for South American countries. Before the Gripen E, Brazil actually lacked modern fighter jets. Argentina also is kind of lacking some modern fighter jets, although they did purchase some Danish F-16s. And like I said, Chile is the only other F-16. Venezuela has some Russian Su-30s, but it is debatable how many of those are actually operational. Colombia, I worked a lot in Colombia back in the day. They have a small fleet of 17 aging K-21 Kafirs. These are sort of Israeli reverse engineered Dassault Mirages, if that's a thing. Colombia is actually also looking at purchasing some Gripen fighters. So pretty big deal for Sweden and Saab. It's a really, really significant aircraft. I think it's still fallen into the 5th generation aircraft, but really anytime a country has the ability and the resources to purchase brand new fighter aircraft, that's a pretty significant advantage in their defense capabilities. So good job, Brazil.
Quite a nice looking aircraft as well, Armando. Is that the addition at just behind the?
No, that's been there for a couple versions of the Gripen. Yeah, Saab. Do you remember they used to have some really great commercials with like a Saab car and a Saab fighter jet, and it was advertising the cars were stemming from the engineering and the of the fighter jet part of it. Pretty cool. I remember those car commercials.
If you kind of hold your hand over the front end of the picture of the JS-39 Gripen, from the back, from the kind of like the cockpit area to the back of the aircraft, very similar to an F-16.
Yeah, I think they all kind of look like. Speaking of that, we didn't put the story in there, but China just revealed a couple different aircraft. Man, they sure do look a lot like a F-22. China just revealed their newest helicopter, and it literally looks like a Black Hawk. Like you would have trouble distinguishing this Chinese helicopter from a Black Hawk, which I just don't understand. And their new like C-119, the Comac airplane, looks just like a DC-9. Like,
yeah.
Looks like it's crazy.
I'm amazed they don't get sued.
Copyright, yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Well,
I actually changed the next story to you, Carlos, if you want to read it.
Yeah, this
pretty cool one.
This looks really cool, and I hope this happens before I retire as such, so I can actually go and see this. But this is on fl360aero.com, and well, Jonathan Warner's going to love this. Lockheed Martin Skunk Works unveils the rendering of KC-Z, a next-generation stealth tanker aircraft. Skunk Works, Lockheed Martin's innovation design, has revealed the first concept images of the KC-Z, a stealth tanker designed to refuel aircraft in midair and intended for the US Air Force's next-generation aerial refueling system. Published by the Warzone, features from the rendering shows the concept is about a stealthy, unmanned tanker. The aircraft has a swept wing design with inclined vertical stabilizers connected to a horizontal stabilizers, although the engine air intakes are unknown. An exhaust outlet for the engines is likely visible at the rear. The aircraft, which can operate both manned and unmanned, will be essential to support stealth aircraft such as the F-35s. The KC-Z is expected to be available between 2030 and 2040. This development adds to the Air Force's efforts to modernize its aircraft fleet and to explore the option of using unmanned aircraft to carry out refueling tasks. The KC-Z will gradually replace the KC-46 Pegasus and the KC-135 Stratotanker over the coming decades as part of the Next Generation Air Refueling System, or NGAS. I like that. The aerial refueling program seeks to maintain the United States air power protection capability, especially in strategic regions such as the Indo-Pacific. Advances in the field of stealth aviation focus on improving aerial refueling capabilities, which is essential to extending the range and autonomy of fighter aircraft. While the cost of the program may be significant, the capabilities of the stealth tanker will allow the US to maintain its air supremacy in a highly competitive combat environment with cutting-edge platforms ensuring technological advantage. It makes me wonder how the heck you can make something the size of a refueling tanker stealthy.
Yeah, I mean, the technology is there. If a B-2 isn't exactly a little airplane, and they've managed to make that a stealth aircraft. Jonathan Warner, way to jump in right at the end of the show here for the most important part. He says he can't work out why there would be a need for a stealth tanker. Well, let me offer this. Right now, tankers are a critical part of everything, whether it's offensive operations or defensive operations. But because a KC-135 or a KC-46 isn't exactly stealthy, they have to remain pretty far back behind the airspace that you control. So if you take a fictional situation like the country, we'll call it Musha, and you are staging tankers currently, you would have to stage them in Murmany. So if you were attacking Musha and you had these tankers in Murmany, you'd have to have them probably a couple hundred miles into friendly territory. If you had a stealth tanker, you could almost throw them out forward ahead of the the forward edge of the battle space into contested territory where the enemy can't see them, especially if you're not really fighting against a a Russia-China type, if you're talking about contested area, but it's not really an advanced air force, you could put these tankers out there almost as sort of covert gas stations for the aircraft to come back, refuel, and not have a signature. So I think it would be feasible that you are going to see this in your lifetime, Carlos. I think they've been working on it for a while, and I think you're going to see them pretty soon.
That guest makes a good point in the chat room. Apart from saying greetings to Mr. Warner, says, will it even stay stealthy when refueling? I mean, you're going to have 3 items on your radar there to track, and yeah.
Well, the NGAD so this is the NGAS. You're probably going to be refueling F-35s, F-22s, in 10 years, and also the NGAD system, which is going to be your next generation air defense unmanned. So it's basically nobody's there. It's an unmanned tanker refueling unmanned aircraft that are all stealth and conducting their operations.
Tell you what is stealthy. Chocolate bars in this house. There isn't none. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Hey? Hey?
Hey? I know. It's this whole diet thing. It's not agreeing with me at all.
I told you, Suze is the way forward.
I know. Thanks for that, Armando.
Yes, of course, always.
Week. And also good to have you back on board again with us this week. It's nice to have you back on again.
Always happy to be back.
So, catch up with you, Armando. Obviously, what's been going on in the flighting world of Armando?
Nothing. He's not been up to anything. It's been very quiet. I mean,
I'll see what Matt throws up for pictures first, but the usual, just a lot of flying. Oh, there we are. So we're going to talk about Cabo first. Haven't had a lot of international trips in private aviation. We usually just go to the Bahamas, which is not terribly difficult, but had some clients that actually wanted to go down to Cabo San Lucas. So we flew down there. The difference between Part 91 flying or private flying and airline flying is that you have to do all the work. So there's a lot of paperwork that the captain has to do to go international, even Mexico, which is a common destination for U.S. private aircraft. But man, it really does take about a week's worth of work to make sure that your books are correct, your insurance is correct, your flight plans, your customs, your immigration stuff is all correct, that your passenger stuff is correct. So, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it was nice to go down to Cabo San Lucas. And I don't know, it's not exactly winter here in North Carolina, but going down to the beach is always nice. And spent a couple days down there.
Quite a swanky hotel, isn't it?
It's the Hilton Los Cabos, but I was actually just trying to compete with producer John. He was
yeah.
I think John was not at a destination, not exactly.
He was in Mauritius, I think he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, Mauritius.
Yeah.
You could almost interchange all of these photos for his photos.
Yeah. You could put any title on that, yeah. And it was quite fun in our group chat because there was a competition essentially going on between Armando and producer John over like breakfast photos in sexy locations, essentially, was what was happening. Which I enjoyed immensely, I'm not going to lie.
I feel like one of these days we're all just going to end up meeting up somewhere like Brazil or something, Rio de Janeiro or something.
Wouldn't
That'd be cool, huh?
Yeah, that would.
Yeah, really, really nice. Always nice to go down to Mexico, especially Cabo, Cozumel. It's just great people, great food, and then basically spending a week down there on the company dime is pretty nice. And then yesterday, beautiful day here in North Carolina. So took the biplane up, did get on my honey-do list done in the house. So I asked for permission to just take the entire day and just go fly around the region. And Meg gave me the thumbs up approval. So early in the morning, I think I hit 6 different airports yesterday, just kind of hitting some grass strips, some paved strips, going to see some people, having cups of coffee everywhere. And man, just the biplane, just trying to get that last little bit of flying in before it really gets cold up here. So hopefully I can go into December, but January, I might have to put the airplane in the hangar and start the annual inspection on it because it gets a little chilly.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to sound like such a daft question, I suppose. Now, because I mean, you and Nick have relatively similar backgrounds, for example, as in you and Captain Nick, essentially. But your out of flying regime or routine could not be more different. And what I mean by that is, he would go out of his way to not go anywhere near an aeroplane during his downtime. And yet, for you, it's still like something you cannot get enough of.
Yeah, you could say the same about Captain Jeff. I think he, he's not super interested in being around aviation. He'll do it as part of the podcast and part of the community. But I have grown up with this since I was a newborn, a toddler. I've been sitting in airplanes. My dad took me flying. He was an airline pilot, so for me it is 100% in my blood. And I don't know, I anticipate I'm going to be flying till even until
they stop you, essentially,
until the man stops me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it's just, as I say, it's just such a, like, if, as you say, like, you Jeff and Nick are good examples, aren't they? Such polar opposites. Your idea of your perfect day off is to jump in the biplane and go and sort of touch 6 airports, as where it couldn't be more different. I mean,
it's a zen zone, especially. I mean, I love sharing aviation. I love doing the Young Eagles flights and the Civil Air Patrol orientation flights when I did that, but also just kind of being up there by yourself. And I've said it on the show before, often I just pull the power way back. I'll do not slow flight, but I'll bring it back to 80 miles per hour where the engine's not making so much noise. And you can literally stick your hand out the window. Well, there's no window. So
no, not in this one. No,
not in this one. But I can literally just stick my hand out, and it's this kind of ethereal experience where you're just up there with the clouds and the birds. And for me, it's a zen getaway.
With that in mind, Nev, you'll retire, and obviously you'll be retiring is it January?
February.
First week of Feb, end of the first week of February.
Yeah. And you've been used to obviously doing so much flying in your career, especially in the last few years and that. Do you think even when you retire that you'll still want to try and at least, do a handful of flights or flying a year?
Oh yeah, no, I've made that quite clear to Mrs. Nev. I'm not sure she's totally endorsed it, but
not totally on board. But
but the idea being is that I want to do flying and going to do flying. I want to go flying and see places that I've not seen before. So I've seen so many countries, mainly in Europe, but some in some states of the US too. But all I've ever seen is the airport, the hotel, and the office. So it'll be a nice chance. So we're going to Helsinki at the end of February, for example. So again, I've been there a lot in the past, but only ever seen very, very little bits of the country. So really looking forward to that, and going on a Finnair A350 as well. So
nice.
I have to say I did like that last time I went, so that was good. But no, the intention is to do a little bit of flying. Obviously, nowhere near as much as I do at the moment. But I might keep the silver card going, probably just about. I think.
Yeah.
But no, I'm looking forward to seeing more of Europe, really, for a start.
But it's a similar story for cabin crew, isn't it? I mean, they go to all of these different locations week in, week out, but day in, day out sometimes, especially when it's hectic schedule. But you are literally, bussed from the airplane straight to your hotel. You've probably only got 24 hours in that location, so probably not enough time to actually to go and do any what I call sightseeing. You've probably got enough time to go and get some, get a few bits and pieces if you need products or do a bit of shopping, to shove in your bag and take home. But you very rarely get the opportunity to see much of the wonderful country that you've gone to, because you're there so short. It's the same with you, Nev, isn't it? You'd be there sort of 24, maybe 48 hours, but probably not much more than that, a couple of days most.
Yeah, if we're doing customer events, I mean, the only other one that is a longer event is if we're doing the US shows. So it alternates between Las Vegas and Orlando. That's a week normally, and then the one in Barcelona. So my last show will be in Barcelona, but that's a week, roughly speaking, and that will be the end of it. So, but yeah, most of the time, as you say, it's a couple of days here and there.
Do you get much downtime, though, with something like that? Because I know from when we did trade events, I mean, you got the evening to have dinner, but to be honest, you were so knackered. All you just had something to eat and then went to bed.
Well, yes, there is that, but also when we're doing these bigger shows. So, for example, just tomorrow night down in Brighton, here in the UK, we're hosting 12 customers. So we're spending the whole day with them, and then we're going out for dinner with them at night, and there will be a little bit of alcoholic.
A nice time will still be had, but it's
probably going to be midnight before we get to bed, if that. So, and I've just set the alarm for 4:30 tomorrow morning, because I want to get there.
Okay.
So it becomes quite a long day. And when you get to my age, it's funnily enough. I was just saying to somebody the other day, I don't mind the early start so much. It's the late finishes that start to get me now. So my head's almost in my dinner at it's 10:15 at night. And of course, when we're in Boston. Well, yeah, quite. Well, the reason I mention that is because when we're in Barcelona, I mean, they don't even start eating until 10 o'clock very often as well. So the late shift and the Brits, I'm certainly not used to that. I like to eat quite early, I have to say.
I'm in bed by like an hour before that, Nev. I'm in bed by 9.
Absolutely. So,
Nev, you've a friend of the show. You've done a couple interviews with him that flies regularly over to the UK on the 7576. Does he kind of talk about that, about really not having a lot of time off? Or
yeah, I think the crew, I mean, he's flying so he's flying from the East Coast mainly, isn't he? So he's flying from Newark or JFK to Edinburgh. I think the furthest they go is Stockholm, Arlanda, but Madrid. It's normally 24 hours or maximum 48 hours down route. So he gets the chance to do a few things. But I think the trouble is today, compared to years ago, a lot of the crews are on minimum rest, and therefore that sort of 3 or 4 days down route that one used to have back in the day, they're just not doing that anymore at all. They're working them very hard, and that's a pity, because it's the fatigue that goes with it. It's just talking to some of the crew that I'm flying on with domestic these days. They're telling me about the hours that they're working and what the call times are and all the rest of it. And all you need is some disturbed night's sleep in the hotel, because it's a strange bed or there's noises or whatever. And that really, can muck you up for the rest of the week. That's for sure. So no, I'm going through to the bitter end, basically. So I shall be still doing these events right up until the second week of Feb, basically. So yeah.
Last question for Nev. Richard Adams said, "What class will you fly in after you retire?"
Oh, good question. Yes.
That's not even a question.
Okay, right. Sorry.
There's no question. There's no. Yeah, I mean, can I just say, the company I work for will not pay for business class flights. They will only pay for premium economy flights if they are over 8 hours in length.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So if I want to do anything different from that, I've got to pay the rest of it myself, and I will still do that now. So I expect to still be in 1 alpha as
right. As part of your ongoing experience, as it were. Yes, indeed. Oh, well, there we go. That was
good.
That was an interesting chat.
Right, we're going to start to wrap up the show then. Social media links. Nev, where can our glorious listeners find out more about us?
Oh, yes. A bit of the old socials. So, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just do a search for Plane Talking UK. And you can email the show, of course, podcast@planetalkinguk.com. And the website is www.planetalkinguk.com. If you go to our YouTube channel, you'll get notifications when we go live. And then all you've got to do there is just search for Plane Talking UK as well. If you want to become a Patreon of the show, making donations to us to help us with our running costs of the show, media server costs and website hosting costs and that kind of thing. Then if you go to the website, there's a link on there for PayPal and Patreon also.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Well, quick round robin. Very fast one this is, because we're running out of time. Armando, what are you up to next week?
I'm off for the week, so it should be just the biplane this week.
Lovely. Nice.
Very good. Mr. Bounds?
Bit of event stuff going on tomorrow at the office in Brighton, then back home on Friday, then a few days of more normal stuff next week. I'll be back on the show on Wednesday of next week.
Excellent.
And Mrs. Spear?
Yes, now, shock news to you all. So brace yourself, Carlos. I'm not here next week. So you'll be doing the show without me next week. Carlos's face is a picture. So this will be fun. Carlos will be using his studio to host the show for the first time. So yes, make sure you don't miss. Make sure you don't miss next week, because hang on a minute. So make sure you're tuned in, because it is going to be absolutely. There we go. See, mild panic has set in already. We haven't even done it. So yeah. So I shall probably pop in one evening next week just to dot the I's and cross the T's, dear boy. Yes. Just to make sure all is well. Yes. Danger indeed.
I need the toilet now.
Yeah, absolutely. Indeed.
Right.
Yes. And unfortunately, where I'm going to be means I will be unable to dial in to assist. So you really will be flying solo.
We'll make sure everything is blooming marvellous for next week.
Yes, we will. We'll pop in one evening and just sort of make sure.
Because I will just say it again, Matt did a fantastic job of plumbing everything in here in the studio.
Well, it works. I mean, that's a win, isn't it?
It definitely works. Yeah. But that is where we're going to bring episode 527 to a close. Massive thanks to all the chat room who've joined us tonight in there, all the usual family members in the chat room tonight. Thank you to everyone for joining us on the live stream this week. Don't forget, if you are an audio listener as well, thank you to you as well for downloading us as an audio show and listening to us each week as well. We really do appreciate you. That is it for this week. Have a fantastic week, whatever you're up to. And from me here in the home studio, and from Matt in the Master Suite studios, from Nev in his home studios, and from Armando. Thanks again for joining us this week, Armando. And a big thanks as well to Nick and John as well this week as well in the background there. Have a great weekend, whatever you're up to. Stay safe and say goodbye, Armando.
Bye, Armando. Wow. Look at the chat room's confidence in Carlos's technical ability.
I haven't seen it. I need to see it. Brace for impact. Terrain. Pull up.
Will it be cancelled?
Glide slope.
Yeah.
I expect to see a pan in there.
Yeah, at least one.
There'll be a TCAS resolution advisory as well.
Right, okay. I don't know what any
We
of
should
that
be
means.
squawking 7700.
Yeah.
Oh, you should just name the
76.
episode. Just episode 7700.
Why don't we do that? Yep.
That's next week's show title.
Lovely. Good. Okay. Happy days.
I'll put that in the clock as well.
Yes, absolutely. Squawk 770.
Oh, thank you, Tanya. Thanks, Tanya.
Oh,
Much love to
she's
you,
so
Tanya.
kind.
Thank you.
Yeah, bless her. I love her optimism. We're all clinging on to
Tanya's
that. I'm
lovely.
not going to lie. So the reason why I'm not here next week, we didn't say it in the show there. So I'm not here next week because I've got a pre-birthday dinner, basically. So I'm not actually here in the UK for my birthday for, I think, the first time, like, literally ever. And my other best friend, yes, I only have two, he's taking me out for dinner. So, so I'm going out for a curry at what used to be the Wootton King's Head. Carlos? He's not listening, fair enough. Okay.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Sorry to have kept you up. Do apologise.
I'm just checking the boys.
Okay, see, right. But yeah, so looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. Yes, thank you, Tanya. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm actually going to be in Dubai for my birthday, which is very exciting. Yeah, absolutely. Goodness only knows.
How about the chat room tonight? We had Australia, Oslo, Anchorage, Germany, UK, US.
David Michael, that's a new name. I've not seen David Michael before.
Man, we've had quite
David.
the international audience tonight.
Very good. Very good. And all the usual suspects, of course. But
Guest says, celebrating in Dubai, as you do.
As one does, yes, absolutely. I have no idea why, because, of course, on that particular day, it's somebody else's responsibility to ensure that I am suitably lubricated. So, hopefully, anyway, we'll find out. If I come back in a bad mood, you'll know why.
Yeah, it might be out for a couple of weeks, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, indeed. No, it's going to be fun. Yeah, it's the first time that I've been away. Very, very excited to say. And like I said last week, I'm in this weird situation where, I say, Armando did an incredible. So last year, it was just before Halloween, wasn't it? I had the great privilege of coming to stay with Armando and all that kind of thing. And we did so much flying that I think what it's done, I think he broke me because I'm like a bit like meh. On the flying, That was beforehand I get myself in a right old stupor. Although I did have a bit of a wobble when we were landing into Dublin, which was quite funny. With the cabin crew, who obviously saw my face change and go very pale and white when we had what can I describe as an extremely bumpy landing.
That's normal for Dublin.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And the cabin crew literally, she just looked at me and mouthed with a really concerned look on her face and went, "Are you all right?" It's like, no, I'm not.
Nah.
But
you just need to put me and Andy up front. We'll tame those winds.
Oh man, I'd like sell my soul for that. I really would. I absolutely
We'd be like Gary Sinise and Forrest Gump against. You call that wind? Come on. Bring it.
See, now, Dirk, you're not the first person to say that. Bring some of that Dubai chocolate. What's that?
That's that chocolate. Do you remember we had it in the group chat for Park the other week? Was it Park or on our group chat? I can't remember now. It was in our group chat, wasn't it?
Right.
And there was that chocolate that someone in the UK is selling. It's Dubai chocolate. Okay. And it's like 15 quid a bar.
Right, okay. Jonathan Warner is saying, is that like Toblerone elsewhere? Is that yeah, very similar. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, we'll see. Good luck to Carlos then. As I say, he'll be flying solo, not in the usual studio, which is adding to the pressure, of course.
Well, it's going to be its first full test.
Yeah. This is where we'll really find out. It's working well on the radio. It's working well on Zoom. We'll find out if we can make it to do the actual podcast. So good luck, everyone. Yeah.
Right, let's let these lovely YouTube family get back to their Wednesday evenings. Thanks again to everyone for joining us tonight.
Good turnout
Much
tonight.
appreciated.
Thank you, everyone.
Good turnout, everyone. Well done. And have a lovely rest of the week, guys and girls. Enjoy your weekend, and hopefully you'll be seeing temperatures higher than we are here in the UK at a glorious 8 degrees Celsius.
Ooh, steady now.
I know. Well, it's actually 5 now, according to my weather thing. Yeah, 5 degrees Celsius.
Tropical.
Right. Armando, would you like to say goodbye to our chat room?
Yes, always happy to see all y'all's faces. That's as American as it gets. See you later.